Hi, welcome back. A couple of weeks ago, we did a video on how we would have got to the US if we didn't get here in the way that we did.
Yeah.
Convoluted. And we actually got a really good question, and these are the ones that we like. It's a scenario-based question and a real one from...
Ewan. Ewan G.
Are you Scottish, Ewan? The question, which Selena will read out, was based on a really good practical scenario of somebody starting out in their career and what are the best options in terms of coming to the US.
Before I get into it, I'm going to first explain that they will be finishing their 4-year apprenticeship this year with their degree, and they are a software engineer, which is exactly what one of the examples we explained about the EB2 NIW.
Oh, that's interesting as well. Is a 4-year apprenticeship a degree, or is it equivalent to a degree? I actually don't know. I know in the MVQs they would equate to UCAS points, so maybe let us know in the comments.
So here's their question. In my scenario, would you say it's better to build some experience over in the UK or get over to the US ASAP? I'm in my early 20s and still live with my parents, so I don't know whether it's worth buying a house in the UK first as a safety net and then making the move in around 5 years' time, or to bite the bullet and make the move now. It's hard to justify staying in the UK when I see people earning miles more than me with less experience, and I like he's put an emoji in. I feel like worst case, with the better salary, I would get in the US. The very worst case, I would hate it and return to the UK anyway, with hopefully a decent savings pot. Good question.
Yeah, it's a really good question and a really good place to be in life if you're in your early 20s, just about to finish and looking at moving to the US. I think where we should start is establishing a baseline. There are, as we've mentioned in many of our videos, many different visa types. The employment-based visas, which you kind of need to have the job and the company will transfer you out on those employment visas. You have student transfer visas, so I don't know exactly where you are in your student career, but there are opportunities to get transferred out for a year or a period of time to go and study in a foreign place, which we're assuming you're not talking about. Let us know if you are. And then there's the coveted
EB2 NIW, which I believe this is how you think you might do it. So the first thing that we thought of is, can you actually get to the USA right now or at the end of your studies anyway? And with the EB2, even though I mentioned that I've seen cases of software engineers self-petitioning, it is really through them showing experience in that field via the companies they've worked for, or I don't know, maybe they've invented code.
I don't know this, but I would imagine if you've invented a language now people are using or some interface that people are using, you can demonstrate that you've done that, because you don't necessarily need to be employed to do that. You're probably going to have a much easier time. The thing that I would think in my head is, if you think you're highly skilled, think about how many highly skilled engineers they already have here and ones that are in international companies elsewhere that would also be applying. Candidate 1, fresh from university or college, 0 experience, no projects to show. Candidate 2, sponsored by a company, working for 10 years across multiple different coding languages. Candidate 1's going in the bin immediately. So it's really a case of being ultra realistic with yourself. Obviously, we don't know you, and it may be that you are a super highly skilled coder who's programmed many different languages and built all of the fantastic AI tools.
Exactly, in which case, of course, you can probably go, well, you can definitely go for the EB2 NIW. So that's the first thing we just wanted to establish is, when you're saying, do you bite the bullet and go now versus waiting 5 years, do you even have the choice, the ability to go now?
For the point of this video, we're going to assume you do fit one of the 3 aforementioned visa types.
Okay, so you can go now or you can choose to wait. What I would say immediately, based on how you worded your question around buying a house, is I truly believe financial stability always pays in the end. We had a long discussion actually in the car about this. I can get how when you're young, planning for the future seems so far away and 5 years seems like forever. Given our example and the fact that we have come here in a much better position, I do believe if you do have the choice that it's better to buy the home in the UK, set yourself up well, and then do it in a few years' time. I think it pays you better in the end.
I would agree. I remember the conversation in the car, but that might have been what I said. She might have stolen it.
Stole his answer.
I know what it's like to be early 20s and be desperate to get out of there. And I also know what it's like when you think, well, I'm at least equally skilled to other people who are getting paid double and their home prices are half, which isn't true anymore, by the way, in the US, unfortunately. And you couldn't have convinced me to stay in the UK. So if I rewind back to that point, it would not have mattered who told me to wait. If there was an opportunity, I would have taken it. So we're saying this with that in mind. However, I'm now 37 and I do have the ability to look back and completely agree with Selena on my original answer that Selena's used as her own. You're way better off building financial security in the UK. And the reason for me is you don't know what will happen when you come to the US, and it's not as forgiving as the UK. If you build financial security in the UK and it goes horribly wrong in the US, you'll be a little bit upset at yourself and kind of disappointed, but you can just fly back. You probably built up a few years in your career at least. You built up a network of people that you know and hopefully they like you. You've got a home that you own and you're probably renting out. Actually, it's a really soft landing. If you come out here ready to go, look at the state of the market at the moment. I think they were saying the total at this moment in time is like 80,000. That could be you. And then not only have you lost your dream, haven't built a career, you don't know anyone, you're going back and you'll start again. So the optimism you have is great. You could possibly get 2 or 3 years in, it goes wrong, and actually you've probably earned a few $100,000 and you can go back with that. But what if it goes wrong in 4 months, 5 months, a year? Will you really have built that up enough that you can take that and go back to the UK? Oh, and one more point. If you find an international company you work in and then they transfer you out and it doesn't work there, the likelihood is they're going to take you back in the UK.
On the other hand, whilst we are on the side of building the financial stability and not putting yourself in a bad position when you get to the US, the problem with waiting is that you don't know that you will get the opportunity to move to the USA. For many of the people that follow this channel, they just want that opportunity, that visa that would allow them to move. So if you can get that now, I can fully see how that would be a very difficult decision to not go and just bite that bullet, because I'm thinking about you and what you said, that if that was you when you were younger, you would have you would definitely have gone. You are young, time is on your side, and you just don't know. And that's the thing, it's a gamble either way in some regards, and you just don't know what is the best plan. I ultimately am a believer that whatever you decide to do, it can turn out fine. So if you really are unhappy in the UK and you believe you're going to be happier in the US, I would probably then say just go.
The other thing that gets in the way for a lot of people is actually right along the lines of what you're saying. What will happen is if you're in your early 20s, and who knows what situation you're in as a relationship with somebody, but let's say you get into a relationship, that person doesn't necessarily want to move to the US, and or you have children that are in school, it becomes very, very difficult. And it's really easy when you don't have to go, oh no, it's fine, I'll still make that move. Actually, when your kids are settled or your partner's settled,
life happens.
Life happens and it makes it really difficult. So having said wait, maybe don't wait. Roll the dice. But like you said, actually, and even if it's not, you don't have a financial cushion, you rolled the dice, you took a chance. It either works or it doesn't. You're obviously skilled. You'll come back, you'll find a job. Sure, you don't have a network there, but I'm sure people sitting in an interview and you told them you took a chance, you went to the US, it didn't work out for whatever reasons. However, you're now back, please give me a job.
I think this is our way of saying, if you have the chance now, there is no harm in taking it and biting the bullet. But if you want to be more conservative, put yourself in a good position, that is also fine as well. You can still make your way to the US at a later stage. So I don't think there is actually a wrong answer.
So that's our answer, not answer. We're not prepared to commit either way. Hopefully you've taken something from that. If any other people have real scenarios, please send them over to us, because these are really fun for us to go through. And actually we discussed this on our journey, wasted journey to California, which will never be a video because I was so annoyed we left the day after.
I was bad, I was not happy, we came back home.
The end. Anyway, thanks for watching.